Hello everyone. This unit introduces to textile printing, steps in textile printing, and explain print-based ingredients used in textile printing. Printing is a process of producing color design on textile fabric using one or more dye stuffs or pigments in paste form with a specially designed machine. Printing is used to add color only on localized areas. Textile printing is related to dyeing, but whereas in dyeing the whole fabric is uniformly covered with one color, whereas in printing one or more colors are applied in certain parts only. Printed fabric usually have well-defined boundaries through the artistic arrangement of motif or motifs in one or more color on the face of the fabric. Sometimes a printed fabric can be identified by looking at the backside of the fabric, where there is no design or color as face side of the printed fabric. Printing allows for great design flexibility. We are going to see the steps in printing. There are 5 steps. The first is pre-treatment of fabric for printing. Second, preparation of the printing paste. Third, making an impression on the fabric. Fourth, dye fixation. And fifth is after treatments. Let's start with the first step, that is fabric requirement for printing. Better quality of print and clarity of color can be achieved if fabric are pre-treated so that it should improve the absorbent condition with a smooth surface. The pre-treatments are shearing and cropping treatments to remove loose threads, desizing to remove the size starch that may be present on the fabric for proper penetration of printing paste, sensing to remove hairy fibers to give even addition of printing paste and sharpness. Scarring refers to the removal of impurities such as oil, wax, gum, dirt, and other natural or non-fibrous impurities which is present in the fabric. Mercerization of cotton fabric and heat setting for synthetic fiber. Full bleaching is done for white background fabric. After the pre-treatment, the fabric should be thoroughly dried. The fabric should be free from the creases. The fabric should be free from the weft bowing. After the fabric got ready for the printing, now the printing paste will be prepared. Using printing ingredients that are compatible with each other, a well-prepared paste gives the best result. Printing paste is made up of the following component ingredients. They are dye stuff or pigments, thickeners, wetting agents, dispersing agents, deforming agents, acid or alkali agents, fixation accelerators, hydroscopic agents, oxidizing agents, and reducing agents. Now we are going to see them one by one. First is dye stuff or pigments. They are used as a coloring matter depending on the nature of the fiber composition of the substrates on which the design is to be printed. Lumps are broken by using a wetting agent and a smooth paste is obtained. Selection of the dye stuff or pigment is dependent upon the substrate on which they are going to print, the cost, the fastness and shade which is required. Thickener. They may be natural or modified, natural or synthetic polymers which make the print paste gel-like. This gel-like prevents the spreading of the color on the cloth beyond the specified boundary. Thickener. The choice of the thickener is dependent upon the class of the dye to be printed and the style of the printing. Some of the examples are starch, sodium alginate, gum arabic, British gum, CMC, ethyl cellulose, polyacrylic acid, and emulsor thickener. To achieve an even Print. They are a certain essential quality of printer. Thickener. They are. It should be quickly dry. It should have a desired viscosity, flow, ability to wet, and should have satisfactory adhesion to the fabric after printing and drying. It should be compatible with the dyes and other ingredient which is present in the printing paste. Should not affect the shade of the dye used. The next is wetting agent, which is used to obtain a smooth and lump-free paste of the dye stuff. Lumps, if allowed to remain, get deposited on the cloth during printing procedure. It will produce a dark spot on that particular area. For insoluble dye stuff like wets and naphthols, wetting agents are used to facilitate the wetting of the dye stuff. Turkey red oil is the most commonly used wetting agent. For direct, acid, basic, and reactive dyes which are water soluble, a wetting agent is not normally required. Then comes the dispersing agent, which is used to prevent precipitation of the dye particles as the concentration of the dye stuff in the printing paste is high. Examples are diethylene glycol, thiodiglycol, sodium benzyl sulfonylate. Then comes the deforming agents. They are used to reduce frothing in the printing paste. Dye stuff have a tendency to froth during the preparation and printing because of the presence of wetting agent. Continuous agitation by the printing roller and brush finisher is done. Due to frothing, the paste overflows on the floor or into the other color box. The print also becomes specky and lighter in shade. Fixation accelerator are used to improve dye stuff fixation in printing as well as to shorten the fixation time. They are also effective in preventing fixation unevenness that may be caused by fluctuation of condition for dye stuff fixation such as time, temperature, and humidity. Some of the examples are: for polyester, p-phenyl phenol is applied. Thiourea is used for the polyamide. Resorcinol is applied for the polyamide, cotton, and acrylic fiber. Depending on the type of acid used in printing, acid or alkali is used in the printing paste. An acid liberating salt is commonly used. Examples are ammonium chloride and diammonium hydrogen phosphate. For reactive printing on cotton, sodium carbonate or sodium bicarbonates are used. Hydroscopic agents. They are water-soluble compounds such as urea, diethylene glycol, glycerin, etc. They are used to take up sufficient amount of water during steaming, which will give mobility to the dye molecules to enable them to transfer it to the fiber structure. Oxidizing agents are used for developing of final color in certain classes of dyes and also in discharge printing. Some of the examples are chlorates, chromates, and dichromates, nitrates, and nitrites of sodium, potassium ferrocyanide. Then the last one is reducing agents. They are required for discharge and resist printing as a discharge chemical. Some of the examples are sodium sulfoxylate, formaldehyde, rangolite C, potassium sulfide, ferrous sulfide, stannous chloride, and thiourea. Following preparation of fabric and printing paste, the next step is making print impression on the fabric. This is actually printing with the paste on the fabric. And this printing is done using one of the following style, and the four traditional styles are direct printing style, discharge printing style, recessed printing style, and modern printing style. After printing, to retain the printed mark, drying is an essential operation. It is essential to remove the moisture applied from the printing paste after printing in order to avoid marking off or staining of the imprinted areas. Further print fixation treatment are given to transfer the dye stuff from the dye thickener film to the cloth. There are many ways of dye fixation depending on the dye stuff classes and the substrate. Some of them are as baking, wet development, pad batch method, normal steaming, pressure steaming, high temperature steaming, and aging. Now comes the final treatment, which is given to all printed textile, that is washing and drying. Washing off is a physicochemical process which is remove the dirt and other substance from the textile, and it improve the texture. It involves rinsing the fabric in water to remove the thickening, chemical and unfixed dye stuff, which is followed by the soaping treatment, which is suitably selected according to the type of the dye stuff and the fabric. Now, I will summarize that in this unit you have been introduced to textile printing, steps in printing, and various printing ingredient which is used in printing paste. Thank you.